I see nothing in nature to stop it, Doctor, replied Sir Matthew, with a great air of great animation. But remember, dear Crockley, this is not a point to be touched upon in the book we are talking of. The public, you know, can have nothing on earth to do with the private regulation of our affairs. People have just as much right to inquire at what o'clock my Lord Duke expects his valet to get up, and moreover what the valet eats for breakfast when he is up, as they have to know what hours our hired labourers keep, and what they feed upon. It is a gross inquisitorial interference, Crockley, and ought not to be thought of in a free country. That's a first-rate idea, though, Sir Matthew, said the doctor, taking out his pocket-book and pencil. I must book that. It is turning the Parliament into an office of the Inquisition. The cantors may call it a holy office, if they will, but the British people will never bear the notion of an Inquisition. That's a capital idea, I promise you. As to my parallel, you know, between a dog and a man, it is merely between ourselves or such an out-and-out friend as Mr. Sharpton, and it may be worth thinking about, perhaps practically and scientifically, I mean, but certainly I should never dream of printing it. 100 years hence, human intelligence may have reached such a point of improvement that the plain good sense and practical utility of the idea may make it properly appreciated. But as yet we are not sufficiently advanced in the science empathetically denominated the positive, in contradiction to the ideal. It will come, though, if we do not but go on in the path we are in. But we are generalizing too much, Sir Matthew. Nevertheless, I suspect I have caught your idea. You have thoughts of sending your young favourite to Deep Valley Mill, by way of putting the finishing stroke to your benevolent projects in his favour? Exactly so, my dear friend, but we must have indentures, observe. There is some little difficulty in that. I suppose you know best, Sir Matthew, else I should say that indentures cannot be necessary. From your description, the locality of this factory, with its romantic name, must be like the valley of Rasselais, at least in one particular, namely that without wings the happy dwellers there would find it impossible to escape, replied the doctor. Difficult, exceedingly difficult, certainly, but not quite impossible. Without indentures, a runaway could not be legally pursued. And to tell you the truth, friend Crockley, I should not much approve giving a subject for a second part of Mr. Osmond Norval's drama, in which the hero should appear on the scene after a few months' residence in Deep Valley's mills. That's true, but I don't see under what pretense you are able to get the brat apprenticed to your friend Sharpton, remarked the cautious counsellor. If he is apprenticed to me, it will do just as well, replied the knight, for I could make over the indentures to Sharpton easy enough, but it strikes me I might have some difficulty in making the mother to consent to it. Not if you will be on your P's and Q's, Sir Knight, said his friend. You have nothing to do but go on sending titbits to the sick woman and the rickety boy that you mentioned, and when they have gotten a little used to it, she'll not choose to affront her generous benefactor. Remember the dog theory, Sir Matthew. They are all alike. I dare say you are right, but at any rate I had better keep out of this hateful brat's way, or rather take care that he keeps out of mine. But I shall bear the sight of him better if I make up my mind to send him to Deep Valley. That will wipe out our old scores between us. Having said this, Sir Matthew rose from the breakfast table, seeming thereby to indicate that the consultation was at an end. Dr. Crockley rose too, but, though he took up his hat and his riding-whip from the chair on which he had placed them, he lingered as if he still had something to say before he took his leave. Sir Matthew, however, seemed to take no notice of the hint, but stretching out his hand said decisively, "Good morning, doctor. Good morning. Let us see you again soon." Dr. Crockley upon this stretched out his hand too, but instead of clutching that of the knight, he seized upon his button. "One word, Sir Matthew, one word. You're too much of a man of business to think me troublesome respecting that little appointment that you were talking about the other day. I should like to have it settled, because, to say the truth, I shall consider myself as wearing your livery, or, to speak more fittingly, to be fighting positively under your colours when this is done, and of course, you know we ought to understand one another completely." "No doubt of it, Crockley. I said nothing that I do not mean to stand to. You shall have 200 a year, paid quarterly, for attending to the health and well-being, and all that, you know, of the factory children. But as I don't want you to give them 200 pounds worth of physic, remember I shall expect that you will make up the deficiency in just saying round about the neighborhood how remarkably well everything goes on at Brookford Factory. I'll pledge you on my word that everything does go capitally well there, Crockley, so if you will have nothing on your conscience on that score. I'm not afraid of that, Sir Matthew. I know I may trust you, but I should like that bit of memorandum about my own business, if you please. Quite right, sir. I am too much a man of business to object to that. Draw up the engagement, such as you wish it to be, and I dare say I shall make no objection to signing it. After this, a cordial handshaking was exchanged, and the friends parted.